Others are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m. A group from the
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, the Ombudsman charges Senators Juan Ponce Enrile, Bong Revilla, Jinggoy Estrada, and scam mastermind Janet Napoles with plunder. Senator Franklin Drilon will not allow senators to be arrested in the Senate once an arrest warrant is issued. And Egyptian prosecutors demand maximum penalty for Al-Jazeera journalists. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. It's plunder charges for Senators Juan Ponce Enrile, Bong Revilla, Jinggoy Estrada, and alleged public fund theft mastermind Janet Napoles. The Ombudsman filed the charges before Anti-Graft Court Sandigan Bayan Friday. Plunder is a non-bailable offense. Trolleys of documents and boxes were brought by Ombudsman personnel to the Sandigan Bayan Friday afternoon. The three cases against the senators all include Napoles as co-accused. The case is expected to be raffled off next Friday, June 13th, to determine the justices who will handle them. Copies of the complaint will then be distributed to the three Sandigan Bayan justices who will conduct a judicial determination to determine probable cause. Once probable cause is established, the justices can issue arrest warrants. These arrests will be carried out by Sandigan Bayan sheriffs. Three separate denials of motions for reconsideration Wednesday paved the way for the filing of the plunder cases. The Ombudsman denied the motions of the three senators, Napoles and others, saying they were just rehashes of old arguments already resolved by the office. The three senators allegedly pocketed a total of 597 million pesos in kickbacks from discretionary funds known as pork barrel, with Revilla getting the biggest kickback at 242 million pesos, followed by Enrile at 183 million and Estrada at 172 million pesos. NGOs associated with Napoles were allegedly used as beneficiaries to siphon these funds. The Ombudsman says the evidence is sufficient to prove a crime has been committed, with the respondent's guilt highly probable. On Thursday, Napoles' lawyer Bruce Rivera said his client, whose request to turn state witness was denied by the same court, will not divulge what she knows without immunity. He added Napoles knows much more than whistleblower Ben Hurloy. While his lawyers are exhausting legal means to stop his arrest, Senator Revilla will again try to prove his innocence in the court of public opinion. Revilla will deliver a privileged speech Monday after the Ombudsman denied his appeal to stop the filing of the plunder case. Revilla's media relations officer says the senator will make a, in their words, revelation in his privileged speech. Revilla's lawyer Joel Bodegon says the senator will again go to the Supreme Court and file a petition for certiorari and prohibition against the Ombudsman. Senator Frank Drilon says he will not allow Senators Revilla, Enrile, and Estrada to be arrested in the Senate building once the Graft Court issues an arrest warrant. Drilon says it's, quote, a matter of institutional courtesy. The arrest warrants are expected to be issued within the next 2 weeks. Drilon clarifies the arrest of the three senators will have no impact on legislation and there's no need for a Senate reorganization. He adds the Senate will comply once the Sandigan Bayan orders the suspension of the senators. They will be under preventive suspension for 90 days. Drilon says after 90 days, they can file bills and hold hearings even in detention. He cites the case of Senator Antonio Trillanes, who filed bills and held hearings in detention. If jailed, the senators will not be able to vote on measures because they have to be physically present in session. After much public anger last December for the highest rate hike in history, power distributor MERALCO'S power rate hikes will go down July. In an order released Thursday, the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, provisionally approved MERALCO'S maximum average price for regulatory year 2015 of 1 peso 56 centavos per kilowatt hour. The rate is lower than last year's 1 peso 65 centavo per kilowatt hour. The approved application will reduce customers' distribution, supply, and metering charges by around 5 to 7%. Sports diplomacy. That's what Filipino and Vietnamese troops will do over the weekend. Foreign Secretary Albert Del Rosario says the troops will hold friendly matches in basketball, beach volleyball, and tug-of-war to show rivals can still be friends. This weekend's games will be held at the widely disputed SPRATLYS Islands. Del Rosario says this is camaraderie that is a friendly gesture. As the Philippines and Vietnam foster warmer relations, this dispute with China intensify as it grows aggressive in claiming most of the South China Sea. The Philippines and Vietnam lead claimant nations in denouncing what they called China's bully tactics. Thailand's junta arrests fugitive anti-coup leader Sombat Bungamanong Thursday. He faces imprisonment as the ruling general seeks to stamp out criticism. An army spokesperson says Sombat was tracked through the internet. Sombat is one of several hundred summoned by the military following its May 22 coup. Those who obeyed were detained in secret locations for up to a week and ordered to cease political activities. Sombat refused to turn himself in, instead posting a message on Facebook saying, "Catch me if you can." Sombat urged followers to stage peaceful public demonstrations, flashing the three-finger salute from the Hunger Games films, justifying defiance against the junta. Sombat is the leader of a faction of the Red Shirts movement, which supports former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra and his sister Yingluck, who was deposed as Prime Minister last month. The junta, saying it wants to end political violence, imposed martial law, media censorship, and a curfew. The junta says elections are not expected to be held for at least a year. Egyptian prosecutors demand the maximum penalty for all 20 Al-Jazeera journalists accused of aiding the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. Australian journalist Peter Greste and 2 other reporters face 15 to 25 years in jail. Prosecutor Mohammed Barakat tells the court, "Mercy for such people will bring the entire society close to darkness." He adds, Al Jazeera is the master in the art of fraud. The 4 foreign defendants in the case, including Greste, are charged with assisting the Brotherhood in their crimes by covering and publishing so-called false news on the internet and Al Jazeera. The authorities previously said the accused were operating in Egypt without valid media accreditation. The trial is part of a relentless crackdown by authorities against the Brotherhood after Egyptian President-elect Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ousted President Mohamed Morsi in July 2013. Egypt's interim government accuses Doha of backing the Brotherhood. It considers Al Jazeera as the voice of Qatar. Doha openly denounces the repression of Morsi supporters. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, a survey by the Center for Strategic and International Studies showed policymakers in 11 Asia-Pacific nations support a robust U.S. role in the region. Japan was the most enthusiastic about a dominant U.S. position. Tokyo's relations with Beijing had rapidly deteriorated the past year over territory disputes. Southeast Asian nations prefer, quote, a quiet, persistent presence of the U.S., preferring not to see confrontation between the U.S. and China. Despite favoring the U.S., most of those surveyed predict China would be the dominant power in East Asia within the next 10 years. At number 6, Pope Francis fires all 5 members of the Financial Information Authority, or AIF, the regulator of the corruption-ridden Vatican Bank. The board members were supposed to be until 2016. A Harvard analyst compares the Vatican Bank's operations to that of a Dan Brown novel. There are, quote, whispers of money laundering and connections to the mafia. The AIF reportedly operates like an offshore banking haven, similar to the Grand Cayman or Bermuda. And at number 8, Canada's Quebec province adopts a law allowing terminally ill patients to kill themselves with a doctor's help. The move sets the stage for a judicial row with the Canadian federal government, which forbids euthanasia even with a person's consent. Critics warn the move could lead to abuses and unnecessary deaths. Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard defends the bill, saying the law would allow residents to face their final days in a more serene way and in accordance with their wishes. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Canadian boxing advisor Michael Kongz blocks Nonito Donaire Jr. from fighting on Manny Pacquiao's undercard on November 23. Kongz says putting a Macau card together with Donaire doesn't make sense business-wise. He doubts it will bring in a substantial Philippine audience. Kongz had earlier pulled out General Santos native Ernie Sanchez from a fight against Diego Magdaleno in February 2014. Sanchez missed out on a $6,000 payday and has not fought since December. Last February, Donaire's wife Rachel said on social media, Kongz prevented Donaire from fighting on one of Pacquiao's undercards in 2011. Rachel also lambasted the Canadian for, quote, pulling out fighters whom he isn't collecting money from. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and our viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. If you take a look, what an interesting green day today. Leading that is today's news. 3 Philippine senators charged with plunder over PDAF scam. This story just broke a few hours ago. You have 6% inspired and a whopping 92% happy. That's mirrored in the story that's gotten the most number of votes. It's from yesterday. Napoles and 3 senators to be charged before Sandigan. This is yesterday. Over the last 24 hours, you see 5% inspired and 89% happy. Related to that, this story, Miriam Santiago on the Ombudsman's decision, there's a God after all. 86% happy. That green, bringing out the green of the top 10 stories today. Most people are happy. It's been relatively a green week, moving between inspired and happy. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Friday, June 6, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.